The Sixers, absolutely, their top priority over their last 10 games, it's just to get healthy. I don't care about wins and losses, and it was a great win last night in Chicago, getting back in the W column, but I don't care about wins. I don't care about losses. I care about getting healthy. We're gonna talk that. We're gonna talk the Sixers a lot today. Rangers, Suarez, Phillies, bad news there. Maybe we'll touch on some Eagles free agency. Whatever you wanna talk about. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds.
Holding gets around in front. Joel Embiid and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Do me that favor, head over to the DSM Media YouTube page, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and turn the notifications on as I pick fuzzies off my arm here. I don't know where the hell that came from there. Make sure you do that for me. I greatly appreciate it. It's the best place to get interactive with the show, to drop your comments, your likes, your thoughts, anything, concerns, as we talk Sixers to kick off today's show. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. Follow me on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. I'm here with you every single morning, 8:30 a.m. Look, guys, I mean, we're going to talk Sixers today. We've got to talk about the Sixers. Last night's game, the team as a whole, we spent a lot of time on baseball yesterday, but I feel it's time after last night's game, before this team gets out on the West Coast trip, that we talk about them a little bit here and where we are with this Sixers team, as we are now. We're 10 games left in the season. We're about to go 3 games out west, and last night was an interesting game. I mean, obviously, the game itself, we'll talk about, a big 116-91 win against the Bulls. Obviously, that's big. But last night was a microcosm of what's going on with this team over the last couple of years and what we need in the next 10 days. And that was, last night, obviously, James Harden, Jalen McDaniels did not play. They were rested last night. They used the Achilles injury and the hip for James Harden and Jalen McDaniels, his hip. Both banged up players. I'm not saying there was no excuse to rest them, but they did. And it was the right move. And I kind of hinted at it a little bit this week, that the last game against the Bulls a couple days ago probably should have been rested for James Harden too. Because if you do that and you give him those 2 games off, you're talking about 4 or 5 days in a row off for James Harden. But instead you played him. He got banged up even more. You rested him tonight. Now you got to get on a plane, go out west. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The single thing that can affect this Sixers playoff run from being successful, from us getting out of the second round, getting to the conference finals, the NBA finals, whatever it may be, the only thing that will stop this Sixers team from reaching their goals or their peak in the playoffs is injuries and maintenance on these veteran bodies of James Harden and Joel Embiid. And I gotta say, I don't know if I want to question Doc Rivers or applaud him. I don't know which one I want to do. I mean, we were just straight out mauling the Bulls in the first half, and Joel Embiid just doesn't come out for the second half. Was that a stroke of genius, playing Joel Embiid last night? A mere 16 minutes. He still put up 12, 7, and 7 last night. We were up 15, 25. We were up 28 at halftime. And they just say, yeah, that's enough of a lead. We got this. You're not needed, Joel. You stay in the locker room. First and foremost, let's call out the Sixers media, the announcers, the Sixers themselves, whoever. Took way, way too long. I mean, everybody watching knew Joel wasn't out there. Everybody knows if Joel doesn't start a quarter in the third quarter, something's up. How did we as fans have to hear Kate Scott and Al Abnabi on the broadcast saying that Oh, we've gotten your tweets. Let us address the situation. Sixers media saw your tweets. Let us address the situation. We really didn't need to wait 9 minutes of game action. What's up, my man? How you doing this morning, Mark? We didn't need 9 minutes of game action to wait to find that out. Now, they said that he was probably not going to come back. They listed it as a calf issue, but it was basically, you know, a load management, old school load management thing. But I think it's almost, in one side, I want to say it's genius. You're up 28. Your team's rolling. This is what you got Dwayne Dedman for. Let's just sit him for the rest of the game because you got the big flight to Phoenix later on. Or was it just stupid on Doc's part to not just sit him the whole game? If you're going to play him for 16 minutes and that's it, why not just rest the guy? I mean, obviously you got I know we struggled against the Bulls at home and we lost a close double overtime game, but I've never seen in my recollection a management system like that. You get it's like, let's be honest, a 28-point lead is huge at halftime, but that is not put a team out of reach. Not at all. Like 28 points in today's NBA, you get 1, 2 little lapses on defense, mentally, little stretches. That game's 12 points in no time, and it's right back in it. Now, it helped that DeMar DeRozan also didn't play the second half. What did DeRozan finish at? 21 minutes. So maybe he started the second half, came out early. But once you don't have DeRozan out there, that's one of their biggest weapons. You can kind of do it. And Embiid is fine, and they should play him to a big lead, then rest him. Yeah, it's just weird, Mark. I really don't think I ever recall a coach load managing somebody after the first half of it, and even the first half. He only played 16 minutes. So even in the first half, he didn't play a lot. So let's calculate the 16 in the first half. He normally plays the full third quarter. That's 12. That'll put him at 28. And then he plays the last 6. So he's been averaging 38, 39 minutes a game a lot. He was only on pace for 35, 36 max. So they were already tapering down on Joel yesterday. Obviously, Joel Embiid is beat up. And if you listen to post-game coverage, on NBC Sports Philly, which I had it on after the game for a few minutes, and Coach Lynham was like, look, he said exactly what we all are thinking on a daily basis. Every year, we have not gotten to the playoffs healthy. You got the face, you got the hand, you got the knee, the things that have bothered Joel Embiid. You can go to the side pieces, Danny Green going out against Atlanta. The only thing that stops the Sixers team is health. And mainly Joel Embiid and James Harden. And be more concerned with Harden. Yes, we're going to get into this in a second. Foot, but now it's Achilles. I mean, yeah, it's concerning. But I really feel like last night, if it was a playoff game, James Harden would have been out there on the court. It's sore. It's bad. And that's to where Doc Rivers and this training staff and how they're managing when they rest these guys is concerning to me. You had a perfect opportunity to sit these guys for a couple games in a row when we've got so many back-to-backs this year and so many tough road trips and whatnot. You had a perfect stretch there to go back-to-back with the Bulls games, and give your guys like 5 days off. Really give them time to really rest and recover. And they didn't. And now you got to worry about James Harden. This call me crazy. Look, we're in the 3 seed. We're half a game behind the Celtics, 3 games behind the Boston Celtics, or the Bucks for the 1 seed. We're 4 games up on the Cavaliers for that 4 seed. So we're basically in the 3 seed. We got a chance at that 2 or 1 seed, but we're not. The odds are we're not going to fall to the 4 seed. So call me crazy. But in me, I don't care about wins and losses anymore. I don't. I want James Harden healthy. I want Joel Embiid healthy. Call me crazy. This is as bold of a statement as you can. You see last night, no Joel Embiid for the second half, no James Harden for the entire game. And we're able to hold that 28-point halftime lead. I think I got pushed into the low 30s a few times. And then it ended up at, 16-9, 25-point win last night? Dude, call me crazy. I'm not sending Joel Embiid or James Harden on this West Coast trip. You got Phoenix, you got the Phoenix, the Warriors, and the Nuggets, I believe, on that trip. I ain't sending them out there. It's a bold, it's a crazy, it's an insane thing to say that you don't want your two best players on the West Coast trip. But I don't care because their health is paramount to me. The only way we get out of the second round. I know I got a guy on Twitter here earlier before the show was hitting me up. Well, now I got multiple. Smart T Jones and One Man Gang both saying, the only thing that stops this team in the playoffs is Doc Rivers. And we could talk about Doc Rivers if you want. But Doc Rivers isn't going to stop this team in the playoffs. Doc Rivers, at this point, is having a good season as a head coach. I don't know where the rest of the league stands. I'd almost say that Doc Rivers is in the top 5 for Coach of the Year consideration, in my opinion. The fact that Harden missed so much time this year, Maxey missed so much time this year, Embiid's missed time. Managing all that. Tobias Harris struggling the way he has. Integrating new pieces. I'd almost say Doc Rivers should be in consideration for Coach of the Year. But even with his shortcomings in managing a playoff roster, that's not going to be what stops us. It's if Joel Embiid is not 90%, 88%. It's if Joel Embiid's got those nagging little bumps and bruises, that's fine. But if Joel Embiid's got a serious knee or foot or back issue, or takes a freak punch to the face or something, that's going to be what stops us. James Harden, if his Achilles thing gets worse, not better. Now, if it's just soreness, what harm? If you're going out west, what harm is it? Don't even put him on the plane. Put him on a plane, send him back to Philly. Be like, yo, we got this for you. This is why we got Tyrese Maxey. This is why we've got DeAnthony Melton. Tobias Harris, when those guys sit, seems to step up his game because he's more of the focal point of the offense. That's the only reason I would ever consider Tobias Harris a bench player on this team, is because when he's got his own unit and he's not going there and trying to compete with Harden and Embiid for shots and minutes, he performs at a higher level. This is why you got these guys. Just tell James, go home, man. Chill out. Go to the gym every day. Get therapy on that foot, Achilles, whatever you want to call it, and rest it up. Joel, you know what? We picked up Dwayne Dedman. He stunk last night. Dwayne Dedman. But we got Paul Reed, and we got Dwayne Dedman. And we got Montrezl Harrell. He saw the court for 3 minutes in mop-up duty. Only his second time in the last month. We got these guys. Head back. We don't need you. We don't need you out there trying to impress MVP voters against Nikolai Jokic for the MVP. We're trying to win a title. So, just go home. And, guys, I know it's not going to happen. But I'm telling you, if I'm the Sixers, I'm making this bold statement that we don't care about awards. We care about one thing. We care about the playoffs. We don't care about the regular season. We want a title. The only thing that stops us is if Joel Embiid and James Harden are not 90%. Guys of their age and size and their ilk, the way they play, they're never going to be 100% after an 82-game season. But they could be 88, 90%. And 88, 90% of Joel Embiid and James Harden in that playoffs, guess what? We make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe the Finals. Nobody can stop a healthy, motivated James Harden, Joel Embiid pairing in the Eastern Conference. Nobody. And I stand by my words on that. So it's me. Those guys, it's not going to happen. Guys, obviously, they're going to travel with the team. We're going to see on Friday. It's Friday, Saturday, the next games. We're going to see these guys, playing. They're going to be out there. And they're going to push them because whatever, that's what they do. But I think it's a big mistake. We've got 10 games. And let me pull up the schedule. I have the box score up from last night, but I want to pull up the schedule real quick. Hang on a second here. Obviously, so we got the Warriors, like I said, the Warriors first, then the Suns, then Denver. 3-game road trip. Then we got the day off, and we got Dallas, Toronto at home. Then we got Bucks on the road, Boston at home, Miami at home, Atlanta, Brooklyn on the road. Look, there's a scenario in my head, those 10 games that are left, that Joel and James should only play 5 of them. Like, I really firmly, truly believe that. Like, I don't want him out there. We know Joel Embiid, when he's out there, he goes 110%, no matter what. And that's and when he's diving and jumping and diving to the sidelines to save an out of bounds ball in the middle of a game, like, you love that, and you don't want him to stop doing that. You don't. So the only way you stop him from doing that is by just not playing him, giving him a few days off. The bell got rung last night several times. Yeah, I mean, you gotta protect these guys from themselves. You do. And like I said, call me crazy. Call me insane. I'm telling them, get on that plane, head back to Philly, get ready for, what game is the first home game? Dallas on Wednesday night. If you did that, you're basically giving them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You're giving them both 6 days off in a row. 6 days off in a row. Do you know what 6 days off of no actual on-court basketball could do for James Harden and Joel Embiid at this point? If James Harden just has an Achilles soreness, it's tightened up or whatever, 6 days of sitting at home and sitting at the gym, getting therapy and not having to push it, well, they're going to make the playoffs. They've already clinched their playoff spot. So that is already done. Now, will they make it to the second round or the third round? That's a question. But you don't get there if you don't get these guys healthy. Only way you do it is by getting these guys healthy. So 6 days, what 6 days could do for his Achilles or his foot, James Harden. The therapy that they can do, massive. Joel Embiid, the knee, the calf, the back, the foot, all the things, the shoulder, all the things that have been nagging him for months now. And he's still playing at an MVP level with all those nagging issues. 6 days off, the therapy that they can give him, the rest on his body, plus you're protected because he goes out there and plays against Phoenix or Golden State or Denver, he's going to continue to show up. And honestly, I think, 3 of their next 4 games are on national TV. So Joel Embiid will do what Joel Embiid does and play 110%. All we need, like if you think about it, his hand issue came on a block shot. Guys blocking shots nonstop. The face came on him being aggressive, him getting hit in the face from being aggressive. Most of Joel Embiid's injuries come from just the uber aggressive nature he has. And you don't need that. I mean, you want that, but you don't need that right now. Game 72 means jack shit to me when the games that matter, as people are saying in the comments and on Twitter, they're not going to get far. Well, you have no chance of getting far. Like, I really, truly believe, everybody wants to crush Doc, and I've crushed Doc more than most. But everybody wants to believe that Doc Rivers will be what holds him back. His rotations and his management of the roster during the playoffs. Dude, this team doesn't need much managing. When you've got Joel Embiid and James Harden playing at their peak levels, the coach is meaningless. It's as pointless as there can be. He's got to say, all right, when it's time to sub in and sub out. That's it. So Doc Rivers can set himself up for success by saying, we got this. And we got this because if you look at last night's game, let's get box scores back up here for last night's game. They won easily. Joel Embiid obviously only played the first half. But let's run through this box score here. Obviously, P.J. Tucker came back after 2 days off. Still were able to keep him to only 24 minutes, probably because of the big lead. Still playing really good. Tobias Harris last night, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. 3 of 5 from deep. Plus 40 when he was on the floor, Tobias Harris last night. That's Tobias Harris realizing Harden's not there. Joel's not there for the second half. I got to take over. And he did that. Tobias Harris is getting that confidence back a little bit. That's good. Last night, Tyrese Maxey, no James Harden, has to be the focal point. Took the most shots on the team. Took 19 shots. 21, 4, 5, a steal. a plus 35. Maxey has his swagger back. That's good. D'Anthony Melton started in place of James Harden last night. 25 points, 4 and 9 from 3, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, a blocked shot, a plus 29 in 33 minutes. Look, D'Anthony Melton isn't going to score 20 points often. But the things that D'Anthony Melton does, I said it when we traded for him in the offseason. I jumped up and down. I said it was the best move of the offseason. It was going to pay huge dividends. Now, he had some stretches where he struggled because he kept bouncing around and his role was undefined. But come playoff time, let me tell you something. D'Anthony Melton has a huge role on this team. He's going to play 20, 25 minutes a game in the playoffs if everybody's healthy. And he's going to play a huge role defensively. He's one of the best. Probably the best perimeter defender we've got. He might not be the most tall guy on this team, but he's long and lanky. And he can get in people's faces. He might not be Matisse Thybulle on defense, but he's damn close. And he provides more offensively. That guy, when he gets his shot falling, I mean, he went 4 and 9 from deep last night. That's not great. It's not bad. It's not like, oh my God, he went 8 and 9 or something like that. But 4 and 9, those 5 misses, I thought all of them were going in. I know. You know what's telling? So when I watch a Sixers game, my wife's there with me in the living room watching the game too. She's playing on her phone. She's doing different things. But she's not really watching like I am intently and focusing on everything. And when she says something to me, that means that it's super impressive. Last night during the game, she actually's like, yo, who's that cat? Who's that guy? And I'm like, oh, it's D'Anthony Melton. She's like, oh, I haven't noticed him. I'm like, that's what kind of a performance he put out there last night. When somebody that's not really watching but watching in the background, you're like, hold on, I've just seen that guy make 4 or 5 really great plays. That says something. And he does that when he's got his confidence up. The defense he put out there last night. Yeah, let me see these numbers here. Zach LaVine, another held in check game, 6 of 15. DeRozan, before he went out injured, 0 of 7. I mean, if you can keep DeRozan and Zach LaVine to 6 of 22 shooting, 0 for from deep, you're winning against the Bulls every single time. The Bulls are a frustrating team in my mind. They really are. I mean, as of this moment, they're in the playoffs. Let me see standings here. I think they're like the 9th or 10th team. They're 10th spot. They're a game up on the Pacers to make that last playoff playing game. You got Zach LaVine. You got DeMar DeRozan. You got Nikolai Vucevic. You've got talented players. Obviously, Lonzo Ball has been out all year and is going to probably be out all next year too. I feel bad for Ball there. I really do. But there is talent there. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic. But they're like a more talented version of the Andre Iguodala Sixers. A team that's, talented. They've actually got a semi-star in Zach LaVine, but they just can't get over the hump. That there's something, I don't know if it's coaching or it's the rest of their team. I mean, they got Pat Beverly. They've got some players there in Chicago. Let me see the rest of their bench there. I mean, they got the white kid, Williams. Who else played last night for them? Yeah, Kobe White. They got Andre Drummond. He played a lot of minutes last night, Andre Drummond. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong guy there. They got an okay team, but they just can't seem to put it together there. They're kind of in like no man's land at this point. Not good enough to compete with the big dogs, but just good enough to squeak into the playoffs. And that reminds me exactly of what the Iggy-led, Sixers were. Which is funny because Iguodala was like a borderline star at that point. I mean, he was making all-star games for the Sixers. He was their best player. So maybe just Zach LaVine's not as much of a star as we think. I don't know. Maybe he'd be better off on a team as the third star, the second star, and not the main guy. And DeMar DeRozan, again, his inability to shoot the three in a three-point shooting league. I don't know if it's his inability. It's more his unwillingness to shoot the three. But then you see them gut out a tough double overtime road win against the Sixers, a couple nights ago, and then come back home and get just completely smoked in front of their home crowd. That's the confusing nature of that Chicago Bulls team. It's frustrating. because I think I want to like the Bulls. Like, outside of playing the Sixers, I think it's a team I'd want to cheer for. Their players, their person. I love Vooch from his time here. The way he's developed himself into a quality all-star center in the NBA, reinvented his game since college, since he got drafted by the Sixers. It feels like 20 years ago the Sixers drafted him. Wasn't that long ago. I mean, you want to root for them, I think. Zach LaVine, he's got the flashy dunks. He's got the swagger. DeRozan, for us old heads, old school basketball player, mid-range game kind of guy. Looks like Eddie Murphy, or not Eddie Griffin. Looks like undercover brother. I just waited for him to go, yeah, or whatever the thing was from that stupid comedy that I love. I don't know. I want to like him. Patrick Beverley is one of those pain-in-the-ass basketball players that when he's not going against your team, you kind of enjoy watching him because he gets in under everybody's skin. He plays tight defense. I don't know. But they just can't get over the hump. But that just proves what the Sixers are. They're so deep. And DeAnthony Melton, last night, what he did was great. He's still on the bench. I want to bring up Daniel House Jr. a little bit here. Didn't have the greatest of games last night. 5 points. He played 20 minutes. Rebound, assist, a couple steals. Minus 12 from the field. But he played 20 minutes. 3 of those were once they emptied the back of the bench. So he played 17 meaningful minutes last night out of the 20. And that probably would have been maybe 10 if Jalen McDaniels wasn't out. Okay? But Daniel House Jr., let me spend a few minutes with this guy. First and foremost, nothing, and I mean nothing he does looks pretty on the basketball court. It looks like he's got to try so hard, and he does the most flamboyant, simple things, and he's always flailing. His legs are out, his arms are up. I don't know. He's all over the place when he's doing anything. But it's somewhat effective. It's energizing. You make a acrobatic layup when it could have been a simple layup. It energizes the team. You make a diving play, even if it's good or bad. It energizes the team. But Daniel House Jr., Daniel House Jr., came here in the offseason. It was one of Daryl Morey's, let's bring all the former Rockets players here to play around James Harden. I criticized it. I'm like, yeah, he's not really that great of a player. And he's proven me right for the most part this year. But he was in the rotation early this season. He was playing regular minutes this season. He started a few times when guys were hurt or out of games. But I think Doc Rivers realized he was he wasn't good. It wasn't the right move to have him in the lineup on a regular basis. He completely lost his minutes. I want to pull this up. I could be totally off on this here. Let me pull up his game log from this year. Give me a second here. So he started the year and he was playing 16, 20, 20, 15, 10. He was a regular part of the rotation. And then, about midway through the season, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 9 minutes. He only played in 5 games completely in January. He only played in 3 games in February. So he completely fell out of, and a lot of those games, those 5 games in January, 2 of them were 2 minutes long. It's three games in February he played a combined 15 minutes in 3 games. So he was averaging like 5 minutes a game over a 2-month stretch, and he only played 8 games in those 2 months. So Daniel House Jr. completely fell out of the rotation, and rightfully so. He deserved to. Let me tell you something. Daniel kept working. I don't know what they do in practice or shoot-arounds. Rumor is that Doc Rivers doesn't hold real practices. Whatever. But Daniel House kept the work in, kept putting it in, kept keeping himself ready to go, kept putting it in, on the practice, on the side, kept being a great teammate. So when Doc Rivers said, number 25, Daniel, you're up. Your number's called. He's been ready. Since he's been put back in the rotation, he's earned himself, maybe not playoff minutes, but he's earned the right to be on the floor, and it's giving you the flexibility to rest P.J. Tucker, to rest James Harden, to rest maybe you can get Tobias Harris an extra game or 2 off at the stretch run here. I love players that don't let the losing of the – like you look at – I know everybody loves Furkan Korkmaz, the Turkish MJ as I call him. He got in mop-up duty 3 minutes last night, and he got the ball at the top of the key, and he tried to make a driving layup, finger roll thingy, and it was just so god-awful. And the ball slipped out, went out of bounds. And I'm like, yeah. But you look at him. He's lost his spot on this team. He's basically one of those wasted roster spots that I've talked about. And he just looks miserable, unengaging. Like, the most I've seen him smile in the last 2 months is when he hugged Matisse in the Portland game because he missed his buddy. That was after the game or before the game. I don't know. Daniel House has taken the benching, put a chip on his shoulder, and kept working, and is ready to roll. And I got to give him a huge round of applause for that. I mean, it's refreshing to see an NBA player not be all, well, you bench me. I'm a better player. Get me off this team. Send me out of here. Send me home. Whatever. And I'm not saying Furkan has done that, but I'm saying Furkan doesn't look like you have opportunities to give Furkan some burn right now with all these injuries. Doc ain't doing it. They're completely two different ends of the spectrum in the sense of the off the court work. Keeping Doc might not be the biggest practice guy, but he sees it. He sees the work. Gave him a chance. He capitalized on his chance. Gave him another chance. He capitalized on it again, and he keeps fighting hard for those minutes. And I think it's huge. And this wasn't meant to bring up to be a knock on Korkmaz at all. It was just using that as an experience. I could have said the same thing about Montrezl Harrell. That Montrezl Harrell's only played in 2 games this month completely in mop-up duty. Well, you need Joel to have breaks. He's completely lost his spot. I mean, hell, you heard about it when Daryl Morey spoke a few weeks ago, how Trez wasn't even one of the names he mentioned. They ran with Dwayne Dedmon in minutes last night, in the third quarter, in the second half there, when Paul Reed wasn't out there. And Paul Reed's another example like Daniel House Jr. Keeps losing his minutes and keeps working and fighting and trying his best to earn them when the opportunity is there. So again, it's a major props because I gave Daniel House, Jr. a lot of crap for coming here and Daryl Morey for bringing him in here. But the guy has put in the work. I don't want to say he's gotten better, but he's slightly improved what he could do on the court with this team, and he's earned the right to be out there. So it's a big round of applause to Daniel House Jr. for what he's been able to do. I just wish we saw more of that from other players because that's good for the team. James Harden, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris. When they see someone like Daniel House or Paul Reed earn their stripes and then go out there and perform, it energizes the rest of them. It does. It energizes the rest of them to be like, yo, yeah, we're not the only ones that are, fighting hard here. The back end guys care too. So, I mean, it just shows, you see Montrezl Harrell and Furkan Korkmaz, and they don't even seem like when it comes to mop-up duty, like Jaden Springer can't wait to get out there in the mop-up duty. He's hungry. He's young. He wants to show, even if it's just in 3 minutes of a 30-point game, what he can do on a court. You see Furkan and Trez take their warm-ups off last night? It's like they didn't care. Like, really? Now I got to take a shower. Like, they really. But Daniel House took his moments, took his benching on the chin, kept working, and now, I look at this. Let's go back to last night's game's box score here. So I have the full team roster up here. I look at this team, and I look how the playoff minutes are going to get allocated. It's going to depend on matchups. But you got Jordan Yang. You got Paul Reed. They'll see minutes, obviously. In the playoffs. Daniel House. D'Anthony Melton. Shake Milton. Jalen McDaniels. You got 6 guys on that bench when you really don't realistically see a lot of those guys on the bench come off the bench in the playoffs. So, Daniel House might be the odd man out come playoffs, but if there's a matchup where you need long, lengthy guys that can play some defense, say Jalen McDaniels' hips issue or he's not ready, or say, somebody gets in foul trouble, Or maybe you don't need Shake Milton. Maybe Shake Milton's going to be one of the odd men out come playoff time. Obviously, he won't be playing 18 or 15 minutes a game. But I just love the fact that he's just ready to go at any moment. Ready to go. Shake Milton's another one. Shake Milton played well last night. He only had 5 points, but he put in 18 solid minutes. I know we didn't. He was a negative 12 on the plus minus, but he put in some really solid minutes last night on the court. And he's been putting in a lot of solid minutes on the court. He is like the perfect, I don't want to call him the backup point guard or the backup shooting guard. I want to say he's the fourth guard on this team because you got Melton, Maxey, and Harden, and then you got Milton. And on some nights, you don't need Shake Milton. But Shake Milton's a guy that's always ready. He's putting his time. He's almost a veteran at this point. What's he, 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years in the league now? He's put his time in. He knows his role. He plays it to perfection. And when he's needed to put in a few extra minutes and get to the basket, he can do it. He has no confidence issues in jacking up a three when necessary. He's not the worst shooter. Plays hard on defense. He's not a great defender, but he plays hard on defense. Shake Milton has learned and understood his role and kept himself ready. And he's honestly played really solidly over the last 2-3 weeks of games, maybe a little bit longer than that even. Let me see his game log here. When was when I really started to see a slight change in his game? I guess it was some of those games where he had to play big minutes. Played big minutes against Cleveland, Charlotte, Indy. He had some buckets there in those games. But let's see over the course of the year here. I mean, he's shooting almost 40% from three, almost 50% from the field, 85% from the free throw line. And he's averaging 8 points a game this year. He played enough minutes to average. He's averaging 8.5 points a game, 2.5 rebounds, almost 3 assists. He's actually playing even better than I thought, which is great to see. A guy that keeps himself ready to go at all times. That's what's going to help this team down the stretch. That's what's helping. And to sum up this whole Sixers conversation, back to where the conversation started at the beginning of the show. You've got guys like Daniel House and Shake Milton that are keeping themselves ready to go at any moment. There's 10 meaningless games left. Why even risk it? Somebody tweeted at me last night saying, just sit them for the rest of the year, James Harden and Joel Embiid. Don't let them play a minute on the court the rest of the year. Yeah, that's a bit extreme. You don't want them to give them 10, 12 games off, and then be ice cold for that first round. You got to get them somewhere. But sitting them 3 or 4 games and putting them on a 20 minute restriction the other games, it's outlandish. It's crazy. But I would do it. Especially road games. Like the wear and tear on somebody like Joel Embiid's body heading out onto the road. You know, a 7'2", 285-pound guy getting on an airplane and flying for 5 hours or whatever. I don't care if these planes are luxurious, chartered planes for these teams. You got 3, 4, you got 6 of the final 10 are on the road. You got the West Coast swing, and then you got to fly to Milwaukee from home, and then down to Atlanta and back up to Brooklyn. Dude, just put him on the bench. Let him chill. And call it. Let him stay at home. Don't put him on those planes. Don't put him. And you got guys. Paul Reed proved again last night that he's ready for a bigger role if you need to sit Joel Embiid for a couple days. Now, Paul Reed's not ready to start in the playoffs. You need Joel Embiid if you want to advance out of the first round of the playoffs or second round of the playoffs. But give him. What harm are you going to do by giving Paul Reed 25 minutes in Phoenix or Golden State and having Dwayne Dedman / small ball 5 the other 20 minutes? What harm are you going to do? None. You might lose the game. You might win the game. You're still a really good team without him. You're just giving yourself the opportunity to be at your peak come that first round of the playoffs. And that's all we want. I mean, I was looking at the standings before the show. I mean, at this moment, we're the 3 seed. We're probably going to fall 2 or 3, somewhere in that range. Miami's charging up into that 6th seat. Brooklyn's still in the 6th seat, but they're going to fall. They're tied with the Nets, 6-7. I wouldn't be surprised. They still got 3.5 game lead over the Hawks. But, most likely, if we're the 3 seed, we're going to be playing the Miami Heat in that first round. I don't love it, but am I going to fight for that 2 seed to maybe play the Brooklyn Nets and risk Joel Embiid? I don't know. Like the Miami Heat, they're better than Brooklyn Nets, but they're 40-34 for a reason. They give up 109 points, and their offense is not that great. I mean, we should be able to have no problem beating any of those teams in the first round. The Heat, the Brooklyn Nets, the Hawks, whoever it may be. Toronto, don't sleep on the Raptors. Don't sleep on the Raptors in the play-in series. They might be that 7th or 8th team that comes out and plays the Bucks or the Celtics or the Sixers. I wouldn't be surprised about it. But what harm? You want to be ready for those teams. Whether we play Miami or Brooklyn or whoever, you want to be ready. So bold statement. I'm saying it here. If I was Doc Rivers, Joel and James would be flying home, not flying to Golden State for Friday's game. I don't care. That is what I would do. What is up, my man Joe Castro? How you doing this morning? What's happening? Is Brooklyn going to fall? Brooklyn stinks. I hate to say it. The Eagles, on the other hand, are a great team. But Brooklyn, they stink. Bold, crazy thing. I would let them all sit. I would let them all rest. Let them get ready. Because that's all that matters to me. You want to be ready in the important parts of the season. That's a great transition, kind of like, now the World Baseball Classic is over and Team USA did not win. I'm back to I loved it. It was exciting. The Phillies carried Team USA. Yeah, Brooklyn who? Exactly. The dead basketball team in Brooklyn. They don't count for anything anymore. I'm ready. I chanted Team USA to the moon. Before the World Baseball Classic, I hated it. During it, I got pumped. But now that it's over, I hate it again. Because we heard, during the World Baseball Classic, Ranger Suarez got sent home from Team Venezuela with some arm issues. Phillies evaluated, said he'd be fine. Then the news comes out yesterday that Ranger Suarez has had another setback, and he has arm issues. And this is exactly why I hated the World Baseball Classic. I didn't want any of my Phillies to get hurt. And you can say Trey Turner didn't get hurt, and he's red hot ready for the season, and Schwarber and JT lucked out. JT got hit in the hand, and nothing bad happened. But just as much as I want Joel Embiid and James Harden ready for the playoffs, you need your you need your players ready whenever. And Ranger Suarez is not going to be available to start the season for the Philadelphia Phillies. Arm fatigue, whatever. He's going to get more tests done this week. They're going to rest him. They're going to see what happens. Problem comes, if you're missing out on Ranger Suarez for the Phillies, all of a sudden Bailey Falter, don't call me Bradley, becomes your 4-starter. Now Dave Dombrowski, you don't have the luxury of Andrew Painter either. You could have slid him in there, but you don't. You're going to call it McAble or Griff McGreary. They're kind of young. They had that Sanchez guy last year that was battling with Falter at first for that final spot. Maybe you call him up. Phillies are going to be in trouble to start the season. That's all you need. Ranger Suarez to be battling arms trouble all year long, or God forbid has to go on the IL for a stretcher or have Tommy John surgery. If you don't remember, I said it. He was one of the MVPs of this team in the playoffs last year, if not the MVP. Starting games and winning games, closing games, doing everything necessary to get this team to that World Series. Pitching in relief and starting every series. Whatever topper won it. And then you go and you throw him in the World Baseball Classic in a meaningless exhibition series, and you get him hurt. That's kind of what I'm talking about with the Sixers. These next 10 games are kind of meaningless. You want to keep your Sixers healthy, but you want to keep them, in good form, but you also need them healthy. Sorry. So, it's tough. It's a tough thing. It's a tough decision for Doc Rivers. It really is. But how he manages these last 10 games will determine how his next couple games go in the playoffs and whether he's here still after this year or not. whether his legacy is written as a bust of a coach here in Philly or not. That's what it's going to come down to. Let's talk about that Ranger Suarez. What happens with the Phillies pitching staff if Ranger Suarez is out for an extended period of time? I mean, we know in baseball, you really don't need. I'm going to switch screens here, try to find my Phillies here. I hate the way this works here on ESPN. I got to find a better website to check box scores and schedules on. Let's pull up this Phillies schedule here. Next week's opening day. We're right around the corner from opening day. Why did it just switch back to spring training? I don't want spring training. So Thursday next week. Then you got Friday off, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Actually, the Phillies, normally at the start of a season, you get a bunch of days off to start the season. We only got that one day off. We got a Thursday and then a Friday off. Then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you do need your fifth starter almost right from the get-go. And if Ranger's not available, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue. So who do they – what is there anybody that's even out there? I'm going to type in MLB free agents and see who's even available right now. At this point, I want all types of free agents right now. This is everybody. I want the guys that aren't signed. So how do I do this? No. Status available, positions, starting pitchers, update. Trevor Bauer, David Price, old and issues. Garrett Richards, old and issues. Mike Minor, Dylan Bundy, Chris Archer, he's available. Maybe you go out and go get him. Josh Lindblom, is he a starter? I thought he was a reliever. Annabelle Sanchez, Matt Harvey, Jared Eichhoff is available. Oh, my God. Can't remember that guy there. Don't need that. There's nobody available. I mean, I look at these names. Maybe you go out because he's the name, Chris Archer. Maybe he's got something left in the tank. But that's a problem for the Phillies. So then you look at the Phillies minor league system. Let's see if I can pull up the Phillies stats here from the minor leagues. Let's see how Abel and McGreary is done in preseason so far. Let's see. Bailey Falter's pitched decently. I'm looking for some of these other guys going down the board here. They haven't even pitched many innings, these guys. Mick Abel's got 3 innings. He hasn't given up a run. That's kind of good. Christopher Sanchez has pitched 3 innings. He's given up a couple runs. Has Griff McGreary got into a game this spring? It doesn't look like Griff McGreary. Yeah, there he is. Griff McGreary's got 1 of the 3rd inning. He's given up. Can't line this up here. 1 of the 3rd inning. He's given up a lot of runs. It is 1 of the 3rd innings. So they're not options. I don't know. They're going to have to do something to figure this situation out. And Dave Dombrowski's going to have to do it fast because you don't want to fall behind. We talked about it yesterday. There was a whole show about baseball yesterday. With the Mets and with the Braves and how good they are, you kind of have to not fall behind too quickly. The Marlins are a better baseball team than they have been in the past. You don't want to fall behind too much in this season because then you're going to be battling for that final wild card. And I mean, yeah, it can work out for us in our favor again, but you don't want to do that. So you don't want to fall behind quickly this season. So Dave Dombrowski is going to be working the phones. He should be working the phones. I hope he's working the phones, but we'll see. I'm checking to see. I thought I had seen something this morning about it, but I don't see it now. But yeah, it's an issue, and this is where the conversation about these exhibition series come into play, and whether you want your stars playing in them or not. And we had the conversation. We started it yesterday on the show. Then it went all over Twitter about having national pride and how none of the USA elite pitchers, played for Team USA, but all the ones that went to Dominican or for their countries and played elsewhere, they have so much more national pride. They care about, winning and representing their country. That conversation kind of blew up in private tweets, on social media between DSM and some other people. And it's sad we don't have that national pride. But then here we are in this situation where I care more about my team Phillies than I do, Team USA or Team Venezuela. It's frustrating because now we're we're not in the situation that the Mets are in without Diaz or the Astros without Altuve. But Ranger Suarez is a damn important player on this team. So, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to figure out what's going to happen, what they're going to do. But I'm sure something will come of it. I think we're going to wrap up early today. I mean, I got 8-9 minutes left in the show. We could talk a little bit of Eagles. But I think I'm going to save the Eagles conversation. Obviously, signing a linebacker, signing a safety this week. Still tweaking some things. Some of the names that have been coming in, for the workout videos or for the workouts, videos have been dropping about who's been popping in. Bijan Robinson, been in Philly. You guys almost got me convinced that Bijan Robinson is a choice for the Eagles. Almost. I'm so against it. I so don't believe it'll happen. But you guys almost had me convinced that it's an opportunity or a chance and maybe a fun opportunity. But I think I'm going to save that conversation tomorrow. I got Jason on tomorrow. We're going to talk Eagles tomorrow. I think we'll just wrap it up there for the day. It'll be quick, early, 8 minutes early here today. Everybody have a great day. Again, this is Trending in the AM on DSM Media. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn the notifications on so you don't miss any of the action here on the channel. Big things always happening here on the channel. Y'all have a great day. And we'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Y'all have a good one.